So we have studied classifications etc, right? And then covered fat soluble vitamin and water soluble vitamin, we have continued it, and then covered almost this part, vitamin metabolism, hypervitaminosis state, right, vitaminosis, and then brief function about each vitamins, okay. Then vitamin B4, B5, right, B6, B7. B7 is vitamin H, and B8 vitamin U, B9 vitamin folic acid, especially this is B9 folic acid. Vitamin B10 PABA, that is drugs against the antimicrobial drugs, you can see PABA, sulfonamide की तरह होता है. L-carnitine B11, right? This is one of the false vitamins reported. They have no function in the body almost. They work with the vitamin D. B12, cyanocobalamin, sorry, B13, orotic acid, B14, PQQ, B15, pandemic acid. This was studied, and vitamin B16, B17. So this was important. Vitamin U for ulcer, vitamin N lipoic acid, vitamin C ascorbic, we will study today. Vitamin P biflavonoids. Okay. So we have beautifully studied about the biochemistry of vision, correct? Biochemistry of vision. How cis retinal converted into the all trans retinal. Okay. And a lot of mechanism is studied. Signal transduction we studied, right? And this is the beta carotene is the pro vitamin A form, right? And we studied these things.
Transfusion.
रोल ऑफ फास्फोडाइस्टरेज है ना, तो इसीलिए मैंने इसको हटाया नहीं. हमने कहा ये प्रिजर्व रहेगा. हमने स्लाइड भी अपलोड नहीं करी थी बिकॉज वहाँ पे कंप्लीट नहीं था ना, इनकम्प्लीट था, तो हमने कहा कि फायदा नहीं है, अभी 2 बार वही हो जाएगी. स्पेस भी काफी लेता है और टाइम भी फालतू अननेसेसरी जाता है. दिस इज द एक्चुअल में दिस मैकेनिज्म रोडॉप्सिन टू पैथोरोडॉप्सिन, लाइट एनर्जी है ना. Then lumithodopsin and last metarodopsin second, metarodopsin 1, metarodopsin second, and then all trans retinal, right? So hyperpolarization is there because sodium is closed, and then you can visualize the things because cyclic MP convert into the GMP. Okay. So beautifully this pathway is representing everything, and GTP plus transducin, right? So beta gamma portion is removed, transducin becomes active, and they are going to activate phosphodiesterase, okay? So this was everything. Means light, rhodopsin, and then inactive rhodopsin, and then active rhodopsin, and active rhodopsin activate transducin. Activation of first step is activation of rhodopsin, second step is activation of transducin, correct?
Yes, sir.
So activation of transducin, and then third is the activation of
Phosphodiesterase.
PD, phosphodiesterase, and then conversion of cyclic GMP to GMP. This is a perfect diagram. So I found it in Campbell Rees book. If you don't have, I have this book. Okay. Right? But this is no more than time wasting. Something is good, something is like time pass. But author is very good. Campbell was a lady. She was a tutor of high school college in the London. So she started teaching, and beautifully she explained everything. Means if your basics are very weak, right, then you can catch up with everything. So, but at this level I am not recommending, because this is too much time wasting. Plasma membrane, sodium channel, you can see this is a cyclic GMP, and then sodium channel is a, what we diagram, we make a diagram study. So this is everything. They can ask you, cyclic GMP, night vision. Night vision is activated when they are again converted, cyclic GMP into GMP. Okay, night vision activated. Active GMP gated sodium channel with no nerve impulse to brain to interpret light if continuously CGMP is there. So nerve will not be sending the signal. Right. So vitamin A is actually this is 1,11-cis retinol. Okay. Vitamin A, provitamin, is actually 11-cis retinol. This is going to convert into 11-cis retinol, then retinol, and then rhodopsin. And scotopsin. What is scotopsin? This can be asked in the CSIR. This is very important. This is the part of rhodopsin. Okay. Because you can see rhodopsin, then metarrhodopsin second, and scotorrhodopsin, and then rhodopsin, right? Means totally rhodopsin is now inactivated form. So scotopsin is basically the inactivated rhodopsin. You can see. This was the new thing. I took this diagram. So there was no diagram, but we were able to decode it perfectly. And then we discuss about the vitamin D, right? This is a two type. Calciferol obtained from the plants, right? And that's why they are called as the calciferol, right? And basically they have the role in calcium and phosphorus metabolism, right? So we studied ergosterol in the plant, 7-dehydrocholesterol, 7-dehydrocholesterol, then 7-DSC converted into the vitamin D3 in the presence of UV light. Cholecalciferol. Okay, cholecalciferol is actual vitamin D3 which is formed after UV irradiation. Okay, so vitamin D2 and D3 are processed to D2 calciferol and D3 calciferol respectively. We discussed yesterday. Okay, so basically all this biochemistry depends on this total mechanism, right? D7 DSC, then D3, and they are coming to the liver, right? And then we have told that D3 is not activated without B5. Okay, and this was the homework, I think, and we have solved it yesterday. This question, B5 plus D3, then they are hydroxylated, and then after the hydroxylation only they becomes actual vitamin D, and they show the biological effect. Means they are biologically active. Okay, so this was discussed yesterday, and this hydroxylase enzyme, right? And depends on the name, depends on the what type of vitamin D3 or D2 is there, 24, 25. So if 24 D2 or D3 is there, right, then hydroxylase will be 24 D3 hydroxylase. So I have told you they are present everywhere, right? Already they are present in the proximal cannulated tubule of the kidney, and in bone, placenta, and 25 D3 can be hydroxylated at 24 position by specific hydroxylase. So double hydroxylation is there, and this occur in different organs like kidney, intestine, placenta, and cartilage. That's why our bone is not brittle if we have sufficient amount of vitamin D. Otherwise, we are having the very loose muscles. Right? So that's is the biochemistry. PTH, And calcitonin, there are two hormones which is responsible for calcium and phosphate metabolism, 24, 25 hydroxy D3. So calcitriol function in concert with the parathyroid hormone, calcitonin to regulate serum calcium and phosphorus level. PTH is released in response to low serum calcium and induces the production of calcitriol. That is the very important point. Okay, so you can note down if you want, if there is a low serum calcium, then what happens? What will happen? PTH, parathyroid hormone, right? They are going to induces calcitriol, correct? And then calcitriol, what is the function of calcitriol? They start calcium metabolism. So calcitriol, they are acting in concert with the PTH. PTH and calcitriol both are responsible for mutual action of activation of formation of D3 formation, right? And if there is a lack of PTH, if there is no PTH in other side, there will be inactivation of D3 inactivation, right? D3 inactivation. Okay, so calcitriol is a kind of is acting as a steroid hormones, and they increase a protein that helps in the calcium absorption, and the name of that protein is cal-binding D28. Cal-binding D28, right? So what is the clinical significance of vitamin D? Clinical significance of vitamin D deficiency as a result of addition of vitamin D to milk. Yesterday we discussed that if you are taking the milk is a very good carrier of vitamin D, right? So what you can do, regularly you should take the milk. You should promote taking the milk to everyone, especially cow's milk. Okay, and the main symptom of vitamin D in the children start with the rickets, and adults osteomalacia. So ricket is characterized improper mineralization during development of the bone, resulting in soft bones. Osteomalacia is characterized by demineralization of previous formed bone, leading to increased softness and susceptibility to fracture. Okay, voice is clear, there is no disturbance. Okay. All right. So demineralization of bone, that is the actual damage going to occur. Okay. So vitamin E now we will discuss. This is the new topic. And vitamin E, tocopherol. This is also known as the tocopherol. You can see the structure. And what is the main source of tocopherol? Alpha tocopherol. Olive oil. Sunflower oil. They are rich in vitamin E, but they are not responsible for sunshine hair sunshine, right? So higher intake of soybean and corn oil, they are going to give you the enough supplements of vitamin E. They are very good source of vitamin E. And what is the major function of vitamin E? They are naturally antioxidants, right? So antioxidants, you know better, they are very similar to the vitamin C, but they are interacting with the vitamin C following scavenging of whatever the peroxy free radical is going to be generated, because they are very dangerous in the body. They must be neutralized by these antioxidants, right? And also they help in the combining with the glucuronate for excretion in the bile. So exactly their enough concentration is going to maintain the glucuronate concentration in the bile. So what is the clinical significance? Because they absorb from the intestine in kilomicrons, so any fat malabsorption disease can lead to deficiency in vitamin E intake, because their carrier is kilomicron. What is the vitamin E carrier? This question can be asked. Vitamin E carrier, note kar lo. This is kilomicrons. And if any type of deficiency is there in the formation of kilomicrons, there will be vitamin E deficiency, despite you are taking all type of iron, right? So deficiency, because they are not able to move in other part of the body, right? So what you can do, if any person is have very low vitamin E, they should take PUFA, high intake of PUFA, polyunsaturated fatty acid, right? Polyunsaturated fatty acid. Okay. So sometimes their higher intake is very, very dangerous, because PUFA generates free radicals. So this should be taken only in the recommended dose. What is the vitamin key importance? Already you know, for the blood clotting, this is one of the very important vitamin, and they are enough available in the green vegetables, right? So there are two type of vitamin K, K1, K2, right? So K2 is produced by the bacteria, and K1 produced by the green vegetables. So you must eat the green vegetables, as well as you must have very good intestinal bacteria, and both can help in the formation of K1 and K2 vitamin, and K3 is the synthetic vitamin. If any person is detected lacking this vitamin K1 or K2, so this can be given. That is called as the Vicasol, right? Vicasol. And they are not actual vitamins. If they are administered in the body, then their alkylation produces vitamin K2. So their alkylation produces vitamin K2, right? So major function of vitamin K, already we have discussed that they are going to synthesize or maintaining the normal level of blood clotting proteins like factor 2, factor 7, factor 9 and factor 10. How many total? Factor 2, 7, 9 and 10. And along with this 4, there is another 2 protein C, protein S. They are synthesized in the liver as inactive precursor protein. Conversion from inactive to active clotting factor. Inactive to active clotting factor require post-translational modification of specific glutamate residue. Conversion from inactive to active clotting factor require post-translational modification of specific glutamate residue. This modification is a carboxylation and the enzyme responsible require vitamin K as a cofactor. Modification carboxylation, and the enzyme requires vitamin K as a cofactor. So resultant modified protein residue are gamma carboxyglutamate, right? Gamma carboxyglutamate. So this process is mostly understood for generation of pre-prothrombin. Okay, so this vitamin is important in maintenance of normal level of this blood clotting protein. Second, 7, 9 and 10. This modification is carboxylation, and the enzyme responsible is vitamin K as a factor. Right? So modified protein residue are produced gamma carboxyglutamate. Okay, and this one is identified as prothrombin, and then prothrombin is modified. Okay, so what is the clinical significance? Obviously, they are important for the blood clotting factor, and they are also related with the fat malabsorptive disease that result in vitamin K deficiency, and they are absorbed from the intestine only in the presence of bile salts and other lipids. So lipids and bile salts are essential because their carrier is also chylomicron. Okay, and if you are taking the synthetic vitamin K3, they are water soluble, they are absorbed similarly, but they require presence of lipid and bile, right? And then only vitamin K2 is going to form in the intestine. Okay, and K2 is also formed by the intestinal bacteria. And if anyone is taking long-term antibiotic treatment, this deficiency is going to occur, and in the vitamin K deficiency, there will be hemorrhagic syndrome. Group second, water soluble vitamin. Group second is a water soluble vitamin, right? Group B, B1 thiamine already discussed, B2 riboflavin, B3 nicotinamide niacin, B5 pantothenic acid, B6 pyridoxine, B7 biotin, B9 folic acid, B12 cyanocobalamin, vitamin C ascorbic acid, vitamin P rutin and bioflavonoids. Water soluble vitamins are usually functioning as a precursor of coenzyme and prosthetic group of enzyme. For example, coenzyme form of vitamin P is TPP, already discussed, right? Vitamin B2 is FM and FAD, vitamin B3 NAD, NADP, vitamin 5 is coenzyme A, vitamin B6 PLP, vitamin B9 THFA, vitamin B12 is adenosylcobalamin, methylcobalamin. Vitamin B1 is also known as thiamine. Thiamine is derived from substitutional pyrimidine, thiazole, which are coupled by methylene bridge. Thiamine is rapidly converted to its active form, thiamine pyrophosphate, in the brain and liver by a specific enzyme, thiamine diphosphotransferase. Right? So TPP is necessary as a cofactor for pyruvate and alpha ketoglutarate. Right? Pyruvate and alpha ketoglutarate dehydrogenase. This is the essential cofactor. Means this enzyme is not going to work, and they are going to catalyze reaction as well as transketolase catalyze reaction of the pentose phosphate pathway. So deficiency in thiamine intake leads to severely reduced capacity of cell to generate energy as a result of its role in this reaction. Okay. Severe thiamine deficiency known as beriberi, and beriberi is the result of diet that is carbohydrate rich in thiamine deficient, and additional thiamine deficiency, that is Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, right? Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome. This disease is mostly found in chronic alcoholics due to their poor dietetic lifestyle. So this is very similar to very thiamine deficiency disease. Vitamin B2 known as riboflavin. This is the structure of riboflavin. You can see 1, 2, 3 rings are there, And riboflavin is the precursor of many coenzymes. Flavin mononucleotide FMN, FAD. The enzyme that require FMN or FAD as cofactor are termed as flavoproteins. Several flavoproteins also contain metal ions and are termed metalloflavoproteins. Both class of enzymes are involved in wide range of redox reactions, succinate dehydrogenase and xanthine oxidase, right? In the course of enzymatic reaction involving flavoprotein, the reduced form of FMN and FAD are formed, FMNS2 and FADS2. Right, this is the source of FAD. What is the clinical significance of riboflavin deficiency? They are rich in eggs, milk, meat and cereals, and very similar to earlier one. This is also much lacking in the chronic alcoholitic person, and deficiency includes, symptom includes glossitis, swelling in the tongues, seborrhea, angular stomatitis, swelling in the stomach, right? And photophobia, chelosis. Riboflavin decomposes when exposed to visible lights. This characteristic can lead to riboflavin deficiency in newborns. Alright? And they are treated for the hyperbilirubinemia by phototherapy. Because of sunlight, the riboflavin gone. Riboflavin deficiency is there. So now vitamin B3, niacin, and there are nicotinamide, as you know, nicotinic acid, and then nicotine pyridine, right? So this is the important part in the purine and pyrimidine metabol, nicotinic and nicotinamide. Both nicotinic acid and nicotinamide can serve as the dietary source of vitamin B3. Niacin is required for synthesis of the active form of vitamin B3, and nicotinamide, adenine dinucleotide, NAD plus and NADP plus. Both NAD plus and NADP plus function as a cofactor for numerous dehydrogenase, lactate and malate dehydrogenase. Okay, so niacin is not a true vitamin in the strictest definition, since it can be derived from amino acid tryptophan. However, the ability to utilize tryptophan for niacin synthesis is inefficient, right? So also synthesis of niacin for tryptophan require vitamin B1, B2 and B6. So sometimes they can ask about the enzyme, which enzyme is going to be activated because of this vitamin B3. This is lactate and malate dehydrogenase. Right, already you might be knowing NAD plus and NADH, and this is asked many times. Okay, so NAD and NADP dependent dehydrogenases are there. They catalyze at least 6 different type of reaction, like simple hydride transfer, deamination of an amino acid to form alpha keto acid, oxidation of alpha hydroxy acid followed by decarboxylation of alpha keto acid intermediate, oxidation of aldehyde, reduction of isolated double bonds, and oxidation of carbon nitrogen bonds. Alright, so the recommended daily requirement for niacin is 13 to 19 niacin equivalent per day for normal level. 1 N is equivalent to 1 mg of free niacin. So this is the clinical significance. Now we will study about the niacin and nicotinic acid, which causes the pellagra. Pellagra gives a symptom of depression, dermatitis and diarrhea, right? So this is not of much importance. We are not going to cover all the detail. Vitamin B5, known as pantothenic acid. Pantothenic acid is formed from the beta-alanine and pantoic acid, and they are required for synthesis of coenzyme A, very important, coenzyme A, which is the component of acyl carrier ECP protein. मैंने question भी पूछा था group में, right? Acyl carrier protein, pantothenic acid is required for synthesis of coenzyme A, and is a part of acyl carrier protein, that is domain of fatty acid synthesis. Means acyl carrier protein function is fatty acid synthesis, right? Okay, so because of lack of pantothenic acid, this fatty acid conversion is not possible. Okay, so pantothenate is therefore required for the metabolism of carbohydrate via TCA cycle in all fat proteins, and at least 70 enzymes have been identified as requiring coenzyme A and ACP derivative for their The deficiency of pantothenic acid is extremely rare due to widespread distribution in whole grain cereals, legumes, meat. Symptoms of pantothenate deficiency are difficult to assess since they are subtle and resemble those of other vitamin B deficiency. Okay, so vitamin B6 are collectively known as pyridoxal, pyridoxamine, and pyridoxine. Pyridoxal, pyridoxamine, right? All three compounds are efficiently converted to the biologically active form of vitamin B6, pyridoxal phosphate. This conversion catalyzed by the ATP requiring enzyme pyridoxal kinase. So pyridoxal phosphate functions as a cofactor enzyme involved in the transamination reaction required for the synthesis and catabolism of amino acid, as well as glycogenolysis as cofactor for glycogen phosphorylase, right? So this is one of the important enzymes. Transamination, pyridoxal phosphate का note कर लो. And this is CSR main focus area is pyridoxal phosphate often, because this is involved in the transamination, glycogenolysis, right? And glutamate aspartate amino transferase. So pyridoxal phosphate dependent enzyme always work with the help of pyridoxal phosphate only. For example, glutamate aspartate amino transferase. Glutamate aspartate amino transferase is an enzyme conforming to this reaction, right, where the pyridoxal serves as an amine acceptor from glutamate to form pyridoxamine, and then pyridoxamine is amine donor to auxiliary state to form the aspartate to regenerate the pyridoxal coenzyme form, right? So this is acting as a amino donor, and this helps in the formation of oxaloacetate to form aspartate. Okay, so PLP dependent racemases include what enzyme? You must remember perfectly: serine racemase, alanine racemase, aspartate racemase in eukaryote, and alanine racemase, serine racemase, arginine racemase in bacteria. Okay. Okay, so this is the conversion. Glutamate alpha ketoglutarate with the help of pyridoxal coenzyme, right? Pyridoxal coenzyme, and then oxaloacetate to aspartate. So requirement for vitamin B6 in the diet is proportional to level of protein consumption. Deficiency of vitamin B6 are rare and usually are related to an overall deficiency of all B complex vitamins, right? So pyridoxal phosphate you must remember well. Vitamin B7 is known as biotin. Biotin is the factor required for enzymes that are involved in carboxylation reaction, acetyl coenzyme carboxylase and pyruvate carboxylase. Biotin is found in numerous food and also is synthesized by intestinal bacteria, and as such deficiency of the vitamins are rare. So deficiency are generally seen after very long antibiotic therapy that is going to deplete the intestinal fauna, right? So you must take egg white protein, avidin for biotin, and they are going to absorb in the intestine. Vitamin B9 is known as folic acid. These are of two types, right? DHF and THF. So basically, folic acid is a conjugated molecule consisting of pteridine ring structure linked to para-aminobenzoic acid to form taric acid. This was asked in the CSIR examination. How the taric acid is going to form, right? Taric acid going to form when folic acid is conjugated with the pteridine ring structure, and they are linked to the para-aminobenzoic acid. Folic acid itself is then generated through conjugation of glutamic acid residue to teichoic acid. Okay, now folic acid is obtained primarily from yeast and leafy vegetable as well as animal liver. Animal cannot synthesize PABA nor attach glutamate residue to teichoic acid, thus requiring folate. If folate you are not supplying, then the steroic acid is not going to form, right? So good source of folic acid is yeast, leafy vegetables, animal liver. Okay, so folic acid is responsible for the attachment of this pteridine ring structure to PABA. Okay, clear? Any question? So folic acid is reduced when the cell within the cell transfer in the liver, when it is stored to and converted to THF. Alright. So basically they can ask you what is the source of THF, what is the precursor. So folic acid is the precursor of tetrahydrofolate. The name is very similar. Okay. And by action of reductase, dihydrofolate reductase, DHFR, already we have discussed. DHFR is very important enzyme, and that is NADPS dependent enzyme. Okay, so now you can see gut lumen, a lot of role played by the PLP, right? And then liver, PLP, a lot of reaction is going to be played. So just to highlight, for example, serotonin formation, this is mediated from the tryptophan to serotonin. This is mediated by the PLP. Okay, ketonuria, and this indole 3-pyruvate from tryptophan, PLP. Tryptophan is the source of many things because of PLP. Tryptamine, indole 3-pyruvate, indolistamide, chorismate acid, right? So all these are requiring the PLP. PLP very important. What is the function of THF? Function of THF to carry and transfer various form of one carbon unit during biosynthetic reaction. The one carbon unit are either methyl, methylene, methynyl, formyl or formimino group. So active center of THF, you can see this is the tetrahydrofolate H4 and 5-methyl H4 folate and 5-formimino H4 folate and 5-N10 methylene H4 folate. These are all derivative. Okay, so Y and 5-N10, these are the attachment site of methyl group, N5, N10, N5, N10. So ability to acquire choline and amino acid from the diet and to salvage the purine nucleotide makes the role of N5, N10 methylene TH. Already this has been discussed. Salvage pathway of purine nucleotide. Okay, because of this you can see the ring structure is going to form. And also they are important in the conversion of homocysteine to methionine. Homocysteine to methionine. Okay, what is the clinical significance of folate deficiency? Basically, effect on the DNA synthesis, because there is a lack of purine and pyrimidine, and also you can see the effect on the hematopoietic cells that results in the megaloblastic anemia, right, because of vitamin B12 deficiency. So inability to synthesize DNA during erythrocyte maturation leads to abnormally large erythrocytes termed macrocytic anemia. Vitamin B12, this is known as the cobalamin. Right, cobalamin is more commonly known as vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is composed of complex tetrapyrrole ring structure and a cobalt and in the center. Vitamin B12 is synthesized exclusively by macroenzyme and is found in the liver of animal bound to protein as methylcobalamin or 5-deoxy-adenosyl-cobalamin. Okay, so vitamin must be hydrolyzed to form protein in order to be active. Hydrolysis occurs in the stomach by gastric acids or intestine by trypsin digestion following consumption of animal meat. The vitamin is then bound by intrinsic factor, a protein secreted by parietal cells of the stomach. Right? So this is the overall reaction. So following absorption, the vitamin is transported to liver in the blood, bound to transcobalamin second. Okay, this is the tetrapyrrole ring structure. They have asked, Cesar asked this examination, which one following is having the tetrapyrrole ring structure. They given the 4 options. Alright, because you know chlorophyll also tetrapyrrole structure, and sometime in the heme also can the tetrapyrrole structure. Vitamin B12 is also tetrapyrrole structure. Okay, clear? This is clear? Any question? Okay. So megaloblast, this is the deficiency you can see, megaloblastic anemia, vitamin B12 deficiency, malabsorption, poor dietary intake, and maybe sometime post-surgery effect, folate deficiency, poor dietary intake because of excessive alcohol, increased demand, hemolysis in the case of pregnancy, malabsorption, antifolate drugs. Okay, so already we have discussed what is the role of folate deficiency. Folate deficiency and you can diagnose, you can see the vitamin B12 deficiency always, right? Folic acid deficiency, spina bifida, and you can see the glossitis, tongue swelling, tongue cut. Okay, so whenever you have a cut in your tongue and pain or swelling or some kind of things, then you must take vitamin B12. Okay, immediately they are going to treat your problem. Folate, THF, folate, then you can say THF, 5-methyl THF, 5-10 methylene THF, right? And then methionine, homocysteine, vitamin B6 is required, then cystathionine, vitamin B6, then converted to cysteine. And then there is a formation of glutathione. There are only two clinical significant reactions in the body that require vitamin B12 as a cofactor during the catabolism of fatty acid with an odd number of carbon atom and the amino acid valine, isoleucine and threonine, right? Here very important things, methyl malonyl co-mutase. This is a mutase, exactly. This is a mutase. Coenzyme A mutase. This require enzyme vitamin B12, homocysteine to methionine conversion also require vitamin B12. Okay. So this is important point. And vitamin 12 catalyzes the conversion of homocysteine to methionine, already discussed, catalyzed by methionine synthase. Okay, and this require also THF and methylcobalamin during the conversion. This is the cyanocobalamin. What is the clinical significance of vitamin B12 deficiency? Anemia due to impaired DNA synthesis, due to no THF derivative synthesis is available for purine and thymidine synthesis. And also because of vitamin B12 deficiency, there is a loss of functional methionine synthase, right? So that's why this is not formation is absent, and 5-methyl THF formation is absent because of lack of vitamin B12, and that results in the blocking of purine and thymidine synthesis, right? Nucleotide synthesis, you can see nucleotide synthesis. So that's why anemia occurs. Symptom of vitamin B12 deficiency: fatigue, headache, weight loss, impaired balance, muscle weakness, mood changes, especially depression. जिसको depression हो उसको क्या देना चाहिए? Vitamins. Eat vitamins, more vitamins. Okay. Eat vitamins, more vitamins. One girl has joined, but she has not put on her audio. I think she is new to Zoom. Hannah? Can you see? लक्ष्मी, हाँ, उसने ऑडियो ज्वाइन ही नहीं किया और उसका वीडियो भी ऑफ है, तो वो कर क्या रही है? हाँ, ना ऑडियो आ रही है ना. My God, she must take vitamin B12. है ना? चलो. So demyelination is another effect of demyelination of nerve cell, is another major effect of because of lack of vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin C is very, very important because ascorbic acid is not going to form in the primates. So GLL oxidase absent in the primate, which is responsible for the ascorbic acid synthesis. That's why what is the GLL? L gulonolactone oxidase. Gulonolactone oxidase. L gulonolactone oxidase. L gulonolactone oxidase. Okay, so vitamin C function cofactor for protocollagen hydroxylase, very, very important, right? लिख लो protocollagen hydroxylase. This is a cofactor for protocollagen hydroxylase. ना तो उसने मेरे चैट के जवाब दिया, कैसी लड़की है। Cofactor for protocollagen hydroxylase. Important for connective tissue, proteins like cartilage, dentin, bone, and it has function of hydroxylation of gamma butyrobetane to carnitine. It is needed for microsomal drug metabolism. It is required for synthesis of epinephrine and steroid by the adrenal gland. It is required for leukocyte functions, anti-inflammatory. It takes part in tyrosine metabolism. It helps in folic acid metabolism. It leads to increased absorption of minerals. My God, प्रभु, कैसे कैसे लोग हैं यार। Vitamin C is a reducing agent in several hydroxylation reactions in the body. They exist in two forms: L-ascorbic acid and dihydroascorbic acid. This form is more labile. Absorption is mainly from the stomach, and this has passive entry into WBC and RBC. Right? And active entry is the glandular tissue also, like pituitary gland, adrenal cortex, corpus luteum, and thymus. What is source of vitamin C? Citrus, berries, melon, tomato, raw cabbage, leafy green vegetable, potato. Vitamin C deficiency leads to scurvy, which will show hemorrhagic disorder. There are swollen and bleeding gums. There are impaired healing, anemia. Alright, vitamin C is excreted in the urine. Its excretion is increased by aspirin, aminopyrin, barbiturate, paraldehyde, and twine. So this is exactly the route how they are going to absorb fruit, vegetable source, vitamin C in the diet. Half life पूछा हुआ था एक बार. What is the half life of vitamin C? Half life is 16 days. So vitamin C dehydroform absorption goes to WBC, RBC, active transport, high concentration, pituitary gland, adrenal cortex, corpus luteum, thymus. Okay. So clinical effect of increased vitamin C: diarrhea, nausea, overabsorption of iron, stone formation like oxalate, stone effect on the diabetes test. Method to measure vitamin C: this can be measured by photometric system, fluorometric, HPLC technique. Okay, the active form of vitamin C is ascorbate acid itself. Main function of ascorbate is a reducing agent in number of different reactions. Vitamin C has the potential to reduce cytochrome A and C of respiratory chain as well as molecular oxygen. The most important reaction requiring ascorbate as a factor is hydroxylation of proline residue in collagen. Vitamin C is therefore required for maintenance of normal connective tissue as well as for wound healing. Okay, since synthesis of connective tissue is the first event in wound healing remodeling, vitamin C is also necessary for bone remodeling due to presence of collagen in the organic matrix of bone. So major role in bone remodeling. Okay, maintenance of normal connective tissue, and scurvy is because of not proper formation of inability of formation of collagen fiber. Okay, so there is a prolyl hydroxylase which is vitamin C dependent. Prolyl hydroxylase leads to lesion in the skin and blood vessel. Okay, it can lead to disfiguration and eventual death. Although rare in the modern world, was a disease well known to seafaring explorer in earlier time. Already you know this condition. Hydroxylation of proline residues catalyzed by prolyl hydroxylase, and that require alpha ketoglutarate and ascorbic acid. Okay, so this is scurvy: loss of teeth, sunken eyes, pale skin. Right, so this is a summary of various deficiency. Hydroxylation of proline residues catalyzed by the prolyl hydroxylase. Okay, vitamin C, which are dependent upon the ACTH hormone. Right, high level of vitamin C, which are depleted upon ACTH stimulation of the gland. Deficiency leads to scurvy, already discussed. Lysine residue collagen, hydroxylysine residue collagen because of vitamin C, and vitamin C is required to synthesize catecholamine, cell tyrosine, L-dopamine, norepinephrine, epinephrine. Vitamin-like substance, group third is vitamin-like substance. They are saprophyte soluble coenzyme Q. Okay. Water soluble vitamin B for choline, inositol, carnitine, B13 orotic acid, B15 pandemic acid already discussed, and lipoic acid. I think most of the things covered. Choline is constituents of important class of lipid called the phospholipids. And they are important for the nerve function. And choline is a source of methyl group that required for the various metabolic process. So effect of dietary deficiency of choline itself can be elevated by the dietary compound, and that can be changed into choline. Choline also functions in the transport of fat from liver. For this reason, it may be called as the lipotropic factor. Deficiency of choline, the right results in the accumulation of fat in the liver. Choline deficiency symptoms vary among species. It is not known if choline is an essential nutrient for humans, since a dietary deficiency has not been demonstrated. Pyraminobenzoic acid, antibacterial component, very similar to sulfur drugs. Carnitine, this is one is the false vitamin, because there is no major role and major deficiency have been reported. Lipoic acid, coenzyme, very similar to thiamine, and there are various analogs, antagonistic, right? So vitamin, antivitamin K, that is decumarol. This has been asked, yes sir, many times. Very, very important. Vitamin K antagonistic, decumarol. Reduces the absence of blood coagulation. So this is treated where there is a extra blood clotting, thrombosis. Right, vitamin A and its derivative like retinol acetate are used for treating a vitamin A deficiency. Restore vision if patients suffer from vision impairment, night blindness, twilight vision important, age-related glaucoma, cataracts. Vitamin E drug is also used for skin condition, induced acne, eczema, psoriasis, cold sore, wound, burns, sunburns. Okay. Drug isoniazid, which is anti-vitamin nicotinic acid, and pyridoxine is used in the treatment of patient pulmonary tuberculosis. Drug isoniazid and anti-vitamin nicotinic acid, pyridoxine is used in the treatment of patient with pulmonary tuberculosis. Right. Sulfonamide drugs are folic acid anti-vitamin. They are structurally resemblance pyraminobenzoic acid, and due to this similarity, it is displaced from its complex with the enzyme synthesized folic acid. Pregnant women basically have a problem with the miscarriage in the lack of this tocopherol, that is vitamin E. So already I think many things covered. Vitamin U, cabbage and potato rich in the vitamin EU. So this is the end of today's lecture. Tomorrow we'll start new topic. Okay? So thank you so much. Good night.